Hello and welcome back to the Olympic Oval for some more great racing action here today. Coming up next this morning, we have the ladies and men's Fall World Cup selections in the 1500 meter. 6 pairs of ladies and 9 pairs of men racing over 3 3/4 laps for the chance to represent this country at the Fall World Cups. Those events will be held in Heerenveen, Netherlands, Stavanger, Norway, right here in Calgary, and in Salt Lake in the United States. So the ladies will be first, starting in 1 minute. That'll be followed by a 2-minute break, and then the 8 pairs of men. Stay tuned throughout the rest of the day for the ladies 1500 meter oval international competition. And then at 2:30, the World Cup selections ladies and men's mass start. And it looks like we are ready to go here with our first race in the ladies Fall World Cup 1500 meter selection. We have a solo skater in this race, Lindsay Kent in the inner lane. Noémie Fisset, a scratch. So Kent underway now, starting in that inner lane. 1500 meter is a middle distance competition. 3 3/4 laps, meaning that the skaters do a 300 meter opener followed by 3 full laps. They should be up to full speed by the end of this straightaway as Lindsay Kent comes through. Her opening split, 27.4. These skaters will be looking for fast times in order to qualify for the World Cups. They must finish in the top 4. That is the Canadian quota for the 1500 meter. And they must skate under the Canadian imposed World Cup time standard of 1:57.40. As Lindsay Kent comes through, 2 laps remaining, her lap time 30.79. So let's see how those laps play out. You want to keep an eye on those split times. The skaters will slow down from lap to lap. Strategy in the 1500 meter is to go out very fast and then die off throughout the rest of the race. But a successful skater will limit their drop-offs to under 1.5 seconds. As Lindsay Kent comes through, bell lap 32.6. So good split time for Lindsay Kent. She is chasing a personal best of 2:02.43. She will be just shy of that here today. You see that hand on her knee into the final corner. So the skaters must finish in the top 4. They must meet the time standard of 1:57.40. And then their selection is dependent on the discretion of the High Performance Committee and the total team size. Lindsay Kent's final time, 2:05.30. So, 1 skater down, 10 to come. Lindsay Kent is at the top of the leaderboard, 2:05.30, the time to beat. So we have a look at our next pair. Victoria Spence from BC in the inner lane. Abigail McCluskey, also from BC, in the outer. Skaters are underway now through this first 100 meters. Tori Spence in the inner lane has the long straightaway before the inner corner. She's the advantage, though, of being able to build speed on a tighter track. Abigail McCluskey in the outer is taking off on this opener. Looks like she will take the first 300 meters. Her opening split, 26.9, half a second faster than Lindsay Kent. Victoria Spence, 27.5. So Abigail McCluskey setting herself up for a good draft on this backstretch. But she will just blow right by and try and charge into the corner. 1,500 meter, a crossover distance between long distance skaters and sprinters and middle distance skaters. So you often see interesting matchups where sprinters will take off in the first 2 laps and the long distance skaters struggle to keep up. But then as the race closes out, the long distance skaters' legs just keep moving as the sprinters tighten up. We'll see if that happens here today as their first lap times in the mid-29s. Victoria Spence going faster on the first lap. And watch her on this inner lane as she starts to chew up her opponent coming out into the stretch. 1 lap to go. Victoria Spence has taken over the lead. Her lap time, 30.8. So under 1 second drop off for Victoria Spence from her first to second lap. Abigail McCluskey, 31.5. As we see these skaters with half a lap to go, this is the toughest race in speed skating. It's the race where you build the most lactic acid in the legs. The last lap is always very painful as Victoria Spence will win this one. Her final time, 1:59.89, just squeaking under 2 minutes. 2:01.05 for Abigail McCluskey. So good time for Victoria Spence. Under a second off of her personal best. As we move on to our next pair, Victoria Spence has the time to beat, 1:59.89. That's the target for Callie Crist in the inner lane, Béatrice Lamarche in the outer. These skaters are chasing the time standard for the World Cups, which is 1:57.40 as well. And they're off. Callie Crist, a former Olympian in the 1,500 meter. So she has had a lot of success on the international skate stage in this distance in the past. Béatrice Lamarche, who's had a lot of success on the junior international scene. As the skaters come through, Lamarche will take the opener, but it's tight. 26.4, 26.5 for Crist. And they're now on to the backstretch. Tight race between these 2 skaters. Callie Crist, it's a fairly unique style in the 1,500 meter where she swings both arms. Most skaters only swing one to save energy, but Crist likes to drive those legs. And she's going to drive them right through into a lead with 2 laps to go. Her lap time, 28.7, 28.2. Sorry, 28.2 for Crist. Lamarche, 28.7. And Callie Crist will go over the top of her pair and beat her into the corner. So Crist pulling away from Lamarche. Crist's personal best, a 1:54.44. If she can come close to that here today, she'll be setting herself up well. Bell lap now. Crist lap time, 29.6, 30.5 for Lamarche. So Crist looking at a mid-150s time here, 1:56 if she can keep this lap time down. As Béatrice Lamarche enters the inner corner. And you can see the skater's legs looking tired. The technique is not quite as together in the last lap. But they're still driving hard. Callie Crist will finish up 1:56.70. That takes over first place. 1:58.86 for Lamarche. So Callie Crist now has the time to beat. She squeaks under the Canadian imposed World Cup time standard. So Callie Crist with a big smile. That was a good race for her. With 6 skaters to come, she's in a good position. Josie Morrison and Madison Pearman would like to dethrone her, though. They're up next. So Morrison from BC in the inner. Pearman from Alberta in the outer. These skaters are underway, well-matched pair. Both skaters have personal bests of 158. They'll have to improve upon those marks here today if they wish to make the team as they come out of this first corner. The opening lap time in the 15 is fairly important. 27.2, 27.3 for Morrison. Very hard to accelerate throughout the 1500. Usually skaters try and hit their top speed in the first lap and then hang on for dear life throughout the rest of the race. As this is a close one here. As they come around the corner. When they're done this straightaway, they'll have 2 laps to go. Josie, Morrison hanging on to the lead. Her lap time just under 30, 29.3. So crossover, Morrison going over the top of Madison Pearman. Strong, snappy strides from Josie Morrison. As they'll come around with 1 lap remaining. Bell lap here for Josie Morrison. She's 2 seconds back of Callie Crist, but Morrison can finish strong. Madison Pearman, 31.8 her lap. These skaters come around. They're chasing a 1:57.40. It will be close for Josie Morrison. She grits her teeth down the home stretch. She's going to skate right to the line, her final time, 1:58.79. Madison Pearman, 2:02.90. So after 4 pairs of ladies 1500 meters at this Fall World Cup selection, Callie Crist is sitting in a good position in first place. The time to beat, 1:56.70. Isabel Weidman and Kerry Morrison will need personal bests in order to best beat that mark. Weidman and Morrison, both from Ontario, are off the line now. Kerry Morrison converting to long track last season. Every race she seemed to get better. Isabel Weidman became a fixture on the World Cup circuit last year. Weidman also skating a great 3,000 meter race earlier this competition. So she can repeat that here. She's setting herself up for a good 1,500 as Kerry Morrison with the fast opener, 26.7, just behind the pace set by Callie Crist as she crosses over behind Isabel Weidman, and she's got a big lead with 2 laps to go. Kerry Morrison will try to hang on, 2 laps remaining. She's just under a second off the pace from Callie Crist. Callie Crist, who finished strong. The last 2 laps will be hard for anyone to beat here because Callie Crist's final 2 laps were so good. As Kerry Morrison comes around the outside, Isabel Weidman starting to gain ground on the inner. As we ring the bell, Morrison leads the way, 29.9, 29.6 for Weidman. So Weidman's catching up, and she's going to try and really push it on that inner. Weidman with those big strides crossing over into the outer. It's going to be a close race here with 200 meters to go. These skaters chasing that time standard of 1:57.40, and it's neck and neck down the home stretch. Isabel Weidman looks like she will take it. Her final time, 1:56.52, and she takes over first place from Callie Crist, 1:57.26 for Kerry Morrison, just squeaking under that time standard. So great race for both skaters in that last pair. Isabel Weidman is now in first. She has the time to beat, 1:56.52 is the target for Ivany Blondin and Brienne Tutt. These two skaters have the capacity to beat that mark. So far, 3 skaters rising to the occasion, skating under that time standard required. Now Tutt and Blondin will try to do the same as they skate hard into the first corner. Brienne Tutt on the outer lane, red armband. Ivany Blondin, inner lane, the white armband. The world record in this distance is 1:50.85. That was set by Heather Richardson Bergmuth. National record is a former world record. Cindy Clausen holds that one, 1:51.79. As Tutt took that opener, 25.82. That was the fastest opener of the morning. And she has 1.5 seconds on Isabel Weidman through the first 300. But Weidman, on the strength of her last lap, took the lead. So we'll see if Tutt and Blondin can match it, as both of them have 2 seconds on her. Blondin getting a good draft on that backstretch. That'll help her in the end as they'll come around. When they're done this straightaway, they will have 1 lap to go. Chasing Isabel Weidman, Ivany Blondin has the lead through 1,100 meters. Her lap time still under 30 seconds. Brienne Tutt as well. So both skaters on pace for a personal best here if they can keep up this speed as they cross over on the backstretch. Still looking strong. You can see the grit on their face as they come around. 100 meters to go. Tutt making a comeback. This is going to be tight at the line. Ivany Blondin will take it. 1:55.48, just shy of her personal best, but it's good enough for first. Brienne Tutt, 1:55.62. That's good for second, and that's a 1 second personal best for Brienne Tutt. And what a time to do it at the Fall World Cup Trials, setting herself up in a good position to qualify for the team. So, at the conclusion of the ladies' 1,500 meter Fall World Cup selections, Ivany Blondin came out on top. 1:55.48 was the top time here today. Brienne Tutt just behind her with a 1:55.62. Isabel Weidman came up third, 1:56.52. Callie Crist not far behind that. And those were your top 4. Kerry Morrison also with a good race, 1:57.26. That was a personal best for her. So we have some fast ice here. So stay tuned for the men's races in only 2 minutes. We have 9 pairs of men coming up, including former world record holder in this distance, Denny Morrison. We also have some other great skaters, great middle distance skaters coming up for the 1,500 meter men's selection competition. Former junior stars David Larue, Ben Donnelly, Vincent Dehêtre, who broke out last season on the World Cup circuit, winning a number of medals. Ted-Jan Blumen, Canadian record holder in the 5K and 10K, world record holder in the 10K. And we're off with our first pair. This is a solo pair in the inner lane. Guillaume Labbé du Québec. Alors c'est Guillaume Labbé. Son temps personnel, c'est un 1:50.82. 1:50.82 is his personal best. He's going to look to improve upon that here. Canada has a quota of 4 skaters for the 1,500 meters at the Fall World Cups. So skaters will be looking to skate top 4. They will also aim to beat the Canadian imposed time standard of 1:46.72. Avec 2 tours à faire, Guillaume Labbé, 27.15. So we're looking at those lap times. Keep an eye on the drop-offs from lap to lap. Alors avec un tour à faire, Guillaume Labbé qui patine tout seul dans cette paire. Et c'est la cloche qui sonne. Un tour. 28.5. Good drop off for Guillaume Labbé. Held it to under half a second. He's looking strong on this last lap. He has to keep this next lap under 30 seconds in order to skate a personal best. His personal best, a 1:50.82. Alors, il doit finir fort s'il veut un temps personnel. Guillaume Labbé à la ligne, son temps final, 1:50.65. That is a personal best for Guillaume Labbé. A good way to start off the men's 1,500 meter competition at the Fall World Cup selections. Guillaume Labbé with a personal best. And he has the time to beat. 1:50.65. Up next, Hayden May and Danielle Dubreuil. So May from Ontario, Dubreuil du Québec. You can identify the skaters by their armbands. The white armband starts in the inner lane. Red armband starts in the outer lane. In the 1,500 meter, they will be finishing in the opposite lane. Et c'est Dubreuil qui mène après 300 mètres. Son temps d'ouverture, 23.94. 25.54 pour Hayden May. So fast opener for Danielle Dubreuil. As they come through, any opener under 24 seconds is very quick in the 1,500 meter. 1,500 meter is like the 800 meter in track. It is a long sprint, pure middle distance race. So with 2 laps to go, first 400 meter time for Danielle Dubreuil, 26.51, 27.33 pour Hayden May. May, a middle distance skater, so expect him to look strong on the last lap. But Danielle Dubreuil coming through with 1 lap to go, 27.37. That is an amazing split time for him. Only 0.7 of a second off his previous lap. Hayden May trying to keep pace, but he's 4 seconds back. Danielle Dubreuil in the last corner now. Alors Danielle Dubreuil qui arrive à la ligne, son temps final 1:47.00. That's a personal best for Danielle Dubreuil. Hayden May 1:50.65. 1:50.65 for Hayden May. So Danielle Dubreuil with a personal best. 1:47 flat takes over top place. That is a personal best. I'm sure he'll be happy with that. Although I'm sure he wished he broke that 1:47 barrier. He was so close. As we look at our next pair, this is Connor Howe and Jake Weidman. As they take off down the backstretch. Important in the 1500 meter that the skaters waste no time getting up to speed. Jake Weidman on the outer lane. Younger sister to Isabel, younger brother to Isabel Weidman. Through 300 meters. 24-0 for Jake Weidman. Connor Howe 24-6. So very quick opener for Jake Weidman. And he will get a brief draft, but just blow right by Connor Howe into the inner lane. Jake Weidman on the first 1 3/4 laps is really taking it to his pair as he comes through. 2 laps to go. 26-0. Quick opener for him. Did he save enough? Does he have enough in the tank? With 1.5 laps to go. Connor Howe trying to keep pace. 26-5. Good lap time for him as well. Personal best for these two gentlemen, 148.0 for Jake Weidman, 149.19 for Connor Howe. So both guys knocking on the door of a big barrier, 149, 148. So Weidman trying to stay low with half a lap to go. He's looking for sub 148. Looking for a big personal best. Connor Howe as well. Down the home stretch. Here comes Weidman, his final time. 147.64. That's a big PB. Connor Howe, 148.68. Another PB as well. So the ice is fast. So far, Daniel Dubreuil, Jake Weidman, Connor Howe, all setting personal bests. Hayden May narrowly missing his. Guillaume Labbé setting a personal best as well. So every skater, except for Hayden May, setting personal bests. May was right on it too. So expect some fast times coming up as we look at our next pair. Tyson Langille in the inner lane. Antoine Gélina-Beaulieu in the outer. Gélina-Beaulieu coming off a fantastic weekend. His results in the 5,000 meter and the 10,000 meter exceeding expectations. He skated a 6:22.73 in the 5K. That was good for third. And he looks like he's getting a great draft down that backstretch. The draft can help a lot in these races. Skaters have to be careful that they don't slow down in order to get the draft. As Gélina-Beaulieu coming through, he had a fast opener too, 24.2. His opening lap, 25.4. That is the fastest lap of the afternoon so far. As Antoine Gélina-Beaulieu taking it to his pair. He has over half a second on Daniel Dubreuil. And he's chasing that World Cup time standard of 146. Here comes Gélina-Beaulieu, bell lap. 26.5. So Gélina-Beaulieu with 1 second die-off goes over the top of Tyson Langille. Langille also faster than the pace set by Daniel Dubreuil. So both skaters en route to a sub 147. Gélina-Beaulieu driving. He's looking solid as he comes to the line. Son temps final, 1:44.32. A monster time for Antoine Gélina-Beaulieu. 3-second personal best. That is the time to beat. 1:44.32. Jake and Tyson Langille 1:46.70, also crushing his personal best. So those two skaters pushing themselves to a great result, 2 big personal bests. But Antoine Gélina-Beaulieu with a low 1:44, that is a world-class time. He would be competitive at World Cups as we look at our next race. Rob Watson and Dan Carruthers These skaters have nearly identical personal best, 147.7s. So we have seen 7 skaters come up. We have seen 6 personal bests. See if these guys can continue the trend. Their openers, 24-0 for Carruthers, 24-3 for Rob Watson. Carruthers and Watson, both good middle distance skaters. Carruthers leans towards the sprints though. So these first few laps are key for his results. If he can bank a bunch of time here, he can afford to lose more speed at the end. Dan Carruthers opening lap time, 26-0. Rob Watson keeping pace. Anyone's race with 2 to go. These two skaters looking for sub 147.7. That would be a personal best as they come around. 1,100 meters down, one lap remaining. Lap times 27.4 for Carruthers, and he's going to get a good draft on this backstretch. Rob Watson 27.7. As both skaters showing some pain on their face, those legs are slowing down as they try to wrap up this race. Carruthers and Watson into the final straightaway. And Carruthers is going to take this race. His final time, 148.02, 148.5 for Rob Watson. So with 4 pairs to go, the time to beat is Antoine Gélinas-Beaulieu's 144.32. Tyson Langille is in second, 146.70. So those are our 2 times under the World Cup time standard. Tyson Langille just squeaking under 200ths under that time. As we look at our next pair, interesting matchup here with Jess Neufeld from Manitoba in the inner lane. Ted Jan Blumen from Alberta in the outer. Jess Neufeld leans towards the sprint, so expect him to start out faster than Ted Jan Blumen, who is a long-distance specialist. Ted Jan Blumen also on a very good weekend. He set the track record here in Calgary for the 10,000 meter, skating a 12:46. That time was very near his world record time. So Ted Jan Blumen on form this year, swinging no arms down the straightaway. 26:17 lap time for Neufeld, and Blumen will charge out of that corner. And there's a bit of a crossover issue. Blumen had to stand up, and so he will try and save his energy as Jess Neufeld went over the top of his pair. Ted Jan Blumen mistimed the exit, ended up beside Jess Neufeld, and since Neufeld had the right of way, Blumen had to give way. As Neufeld comes through, 1 lap remaining, 28.0 his lap time. And so Neufeld trying to hang on his personal best at 147.35. And he will be shy of that today as he comes down the final stretch. Jess Neufeld coming to the line. One hopes he didn't have to slow down at that awkward crossover moment. His final time, 149.30. But the story in that race was Ted Jan Blumen coming from the inner to the outer on the second lap. Ran into Jess Neufeld. Jess Neufeld had the right of way coming from the outer lane. So Ted Jan Blumen may now request a reskate. We will see what will happen. Reskates are always difficult, especially after the skaters have completed 1 or 2 laps. And there was a false start there in our 7th pair. That was Sam Dekker in the inner lane. taking off too early. So this pair features Sam Dekker and Richard McLennan. These skaters chasing Antoine Gélinas-Beaulieu, who set a blistering time to beat, 1:44.32. They're also chasing the time set by Tyson Langille, 1:46.70. So the skaters will line up and try again. Another false start will result in a disqualification for either skater. But they're off cleanly on the second attempt. In the inner lane, Dekker with the white armband. In the outer lane, McLennan with the red. As they come through, Richard McLennan, a 1,000-meter specialist, leans towards the sprint, so expect a fast opener here. Sub 24 seconds for both skaters. Richard McLennan, 23.3. That's the fastest opener we've seen here this afternoon, and he's going to set up a good draft on this backstretch, as he really is stretching out those strides, trying to conserve his energy to come around with 2 laps to go. Sam Dekker holding a slight lead. His first lap time, 25.9, 26.5 for Richard McLennan. And so Dekker crossing over behind McLennan, getting a slight draft, and he's going to try and go right by him. Dekker has to be careful on those crossovers, that he does not slow down and match the pace set by his opponent. As Dekker carving out a big lead here, 1 lap to go, his lap time 27.7. So 1.5 seconds between the first and second laps for Sam Dekker. Let's see if he can keep this next one under 29 seconds. He's looking for a personal best of sub 1:47. That's what he needs. To qualify for the World Cups, he must skate a 1:46.72 at least, as Dekker's going to come to the line. His final time, 1:48.08, missing the mark. Richard McLennan, 1:50.96. So with 2 pairs to come, Antoine Gélinas-Beaulieu still holding on to the top spot. 1:44.32, the time to beat. Tyson Langille is sitting pretty in second. His time was a 1:46.70. So both skaters meeting the required time standard. As we look at the next pair, this is Vincent Dekker and Denny Morrison. These two are arguably the best 1,500-meter skaters Canada has. Denny Morrison, the former world record holder in this distance. That is also the Canadian record. That time is a 1:42.01, set way back in 2008. Morrison, also an Olympic medalist 4 years ago in Sochi in the 1,500 meter. As Vincent Dekker takes it to him in the first 300. Opening split, 23.5. These guys are chasing that low 1:44 time set by Antoine Gélinas-Beaulieu. And if anyone will beat it, it's one of these two. Morrison with a low 24. So Morrison will be chasing Dekker through the rest of this race. As they come through 700 meters, it's still Dekker with the lead. 25.6 his lap time. Morrison 25.3. So Morrison really gaining ground. Both skaters still ahead of the pace set by Gélinas-Beaulieu. Gélinas-Beaulieu finishing strong though as they come around. 3 corners to go. Into the home stretch. Dekker still with the lead, but Morrison hanging tight. Are they still on pace with Gélinas-Beaulieu? Yes, they are. Vincent Dekker over half a second up. 26.3. Great split for him. Denny Morrison, 26.4. Also a solid split. So Vincent Dekker, on the strength of his opener, hanging on to that top spot. Let's see if he had enough left in the legs in the last lap as they come down the home stretch. Morrison striving, trying to catch up, but Dekker will take it. 1:43.56. That is a big personal best for Vincent Dekker, and that's good enough for first. Denny Morrison takes second. 1:44.16 his time. So we have a trio of sub 145 times at the top of the leaderboard. The man to beat is Vincent Dekker, who set a mark of 1:43.56. Morrison was second, 1:44.16. Jelena Beaulieu, 1:44.32. As we now move on to our final pair of the men's 1500 meter at this Fall World Cup selection. David Larue in the inner lane from Quebec. Ben Donnelly from Ontario in the outer. So keep an eye on those armbands if you want to tell them apart as they come around through the first corner. Larue with the fast opener. His opening split, 23.85, sub 24 for David Larue. Ben Donnelly, 24.17. So Ben Donnelly currently on pace with Denny Morrison. David Larue coming off a great junior season last year. Breakout year for him after he switched over from short track. Ben Donnelly skated the World Cup circuit last season. Had some great results as Ben Donnelly took it wide out of that corner to slip in behind David Larue. A wily veteran move there from Ben Donnelly to not slow down on that crossover issue, as they will now come around with one lap to go. Bell lap for David Larue and Ben Donnelly. Larue taking it to his pair. 26.95, his lap time, 27.15 for Donnelly. So Larue sitting in fourth right now after 1,100 meters. He's looking like he's going to beat Tyson Langille's time. And he's chasing down Antoine Jelena Beaulieu. But Donnelly, with that strong inner, is making a comeback into the stretch. Good fight, though, from Larue. And he will take it at the line, 1:45.16. That is a Canadian junior national record for David Larue. Record canadien junior pour David Larue. Ben Donnelly, 1:45.60, his final time. So those two times good for fourth and fifth. So after all of our pairs, Vincent Dekker took this race with a 1:43.56, big personal best, and good for top spot. Denny Morrison was second. Antoine Jelena Beaulieu just behind Morrison in third. David Larue was fourth with a Canadian national junior record of 1:45.16. Ben Donnelly 1:45.60 just behind him. And Tyson Langille 1:46.70. So extremely fast races here on the ladies and men's sides. As we will now take a break, we will be back at you this afternoon at 1 o'clock for the ladies 1500 meters oval international. Stay tuned after that for the mass start events at 2:30. Most exciting races in long track speed skating.